rapuiki yamnosuya terawahan yamnana wakitia urtit ima ishusu tukuyamne watishasu. Namaste, Grand Rising. Good morning. Welcome. This is the Sunrise Soul Sessions, where we press live and see what appears as the soul rises behind us. It was a little bit windy outside today, so I just thought I would stay in the car and just flow and glow with whatever appears. So as we move through these shifts, as we move through this remembering of who we are, as we are becoming more of what we always have been, there are waves, there's peaks and troughs, there's comings and goings, there's remembering, there's forgetting. There is always this polarity, this duality in this dimension. In truth, the one being that is, the one awareness that is, the one I am that I am, never comes and goes, never rises and falls. It's not diminished or added to by our experience, but our individuation, our individual little me, I experience goes through waves, goes through happy times, goes through sad times, goes through ups, goes through downs. And this is a continuous ebb and flow, like the waves on the ocean here, like the rising and falling of the sun, like day, like night, like masculine, feminine. They are all expressions of this reality. And so yesterday I had, out of absolutely nowhere, which normally naturally appears, everything is fine. And then just in the evening yesterday, all of this really dense, dark, heavy energy was arising. And so before, and earlier on in my journey, I suppose, I would always want to find a reason. I would always want to get something to point towards why I would just be suddenly feeling sad. And the point of it is actually there is no reason. And the challenging thing was maybe if there is something in the life and then you can point towards it, this happened, they did this, the world like this, something like this is happening. Or I was speaking with my wife yesterday, like it's hay fever season, so you can point at the pollen, or you can, the human wants to point at something to make meaning and give a reason as for why things happen. Life just happens. There's some of these, I don't know if this is the right word, I think it is aphorisms. There's some of these things that we say, and it's just in the zeitgeist, it's in the dialogue that we have in the spiritual community or whatever. And there's some things that we repeat just because it's been repeated over and over again. It's very funny. When I got taken off social media a few years ago, I shared one of these one of these things, and it was, if you tell a lie big enough, long enough, it becomes the truth. And I got banned from social media for sharing. If you share a lie big enough and long enough, it becomes the truth. It doesn't actually become the truth, but enough people, if they hear, enough humans, if they hear something over and over again from enough sources, it becomes a relative truth to them. Everything is a truth, not the truth. And so there was one, that's very common, is that everything happens for a reason. And I was speaking to a sister yesterday, and I heard myself just about to say everything happens for a reason, because it's just one of these things. Whenever things change or something happens that we don't know why, and we want to give it a meaning, we want to give it a purpose, so we say everything happens for a reason. And before I had it finished, I stopped myself and realized, and I've talked about it many times, everything doesn't happen for a reason. Everything happens, we give it a reason. Life happens and we give the meaning that we assign to it. And the way you can like confirm this is, like we talk about many times, many life events. At one point of your life, you give one meaning, and at another point of life, you give another meaning. And maybe the things you'll give three meanings, four meanings in the whole life. When you were a teenager, something meant a certain event or a certain idea or a certain experience in the human realm meant one thing to you, and then you became 30s and 40s, and it's a different meaning. Before you were a parent, life had a certain meaning, and after you're a parent, certain things in life have different meanings. So meaning and um, reason, like given reasons for something, are not intrinsic to what is happening. Everything is just what is happening, and we give it meaning and reason. We give reasons to why things happen, and that doesn't mean it is the reason. It just means it's the reason. It just means we've reasoned out with our mind that's why that's happening. So I stop myself saying everything happens for a reason, because everything doesn't happen for a reason. This is one perspective on infinite potential, and everything happens just. Remember, one of my mentors used to say that everything happens just. It's not everything just happens for a reason. Everything happens just. It's just this. It's just this. Everything that's happening, if you wanted to go into the depths of it, in the world of polarity and duality, everything has a cause and effect. Every action and everything that has ever happened is the cause and effect of everything that ever has happened, ever is, everything that is happening, everything that will happen. But we want to give it a little individual meaning, because I want to make meaning and purpose out of what is happening in my life. And sometimes I want to blame or feel a victim of what is happening. And sometimes I want to take ownership of what is happening. If it's happening, something is happening beautiful or something that I want. And so everything is just happening. We can, if we so choose, you can put this all in the bin, of course, as well. If you so choose, you can choose to give the meaning or none. We can just say everything happens just. I get to experience it. I get to watch it. Oh, look, there's feelings of sadness coming up. So last night, again, absolutely nothing in the reality that I could point to as to why I would feel sadness, why I was feeling like these kind of dark, heavy energies. It was just happening. So rather than, again, it's more and more it's happening. This is a beautiful, see the beautiful contrast here? Like this, the color, because the sun rising over here. Oh, you gotta love Gaia. She knows how to create a scene. Perfect polarity here of colors. So yes, just sadness was appearing. So many things. I have to go and check my journal now, because I did, and maybe this could serve someone, is that this comes in waves for me. And then just out of nowhere, sadness will come, and then another deeper level of something will come up. Last night it was heavy, dense, dark stuff, and I was just sitting and just letting it move through me. But as I was doing this, I couldn't really interact with the world very well. I wasn't like talkative and happy and joking with my wife and son, or I was really, it was moving like as intense waves. So I just eventually got to a point where I was able to, because we were on the move when this started happening. So I just got silent, I got quiet, and just let the waves come up. So from nowhere, a wave of sadness come up. I just allow it. Don't tell a story about it. Don't go to a past life. Don't talk about collective blah blah. Although this is what I feel it is, and this is something where I want to go in this conversation, is rather than pointing, oh, the collective's going through this collective shift, because it just tells a story, and as soon as you tell a story, it's going to stay. The more stories we tell about this waves of energy that are just passing through us, the more they will stay, because the story sticks. Because we love stories. Stories are beautiful. Stories are amazing. But if we start to tell stories about emotion, about feeling, it sticks. It stays. So the story sticks and stays. And that's why we love stories. But if it's an energy that's moving through, that is an old energy, it's something like, if it's a story that's inspiring and joyful and uplifting and creative and something that works for your life, stick with the story. If it's energy that you would prefer that it moves through, and all energy always wants to move through, even the creative, beautiful energy, it's It's a passing wave. It's a movement. It's life. Life is ever evolving, ever expanding, ever becoming. So if we don't stick it with the story, we just be quiet, we just let the feeling arise, it will move through. And wherever we have blockages, the story can become blockages. Wherever we have, Michael Singer talks about it in kind of in the Eastern philosophy, where you have samskaras is the blocks, and that's where, so when the energies are rising, wherever you have a block, like let's say you were told as a child, whenever you're sad, cheer up. Whenever you're sad, why so sad? Why are you always crying? Why you always got this? Why you got the grumpy face? You know, just giving a simple example, that can create what is called a samskara, and what that creates is sad is bad, sad is wrong. So whenever I feel sad because I got reprimanded, I didn't have this, or not that I remember, I'm just using this as an example. That creates a samskara, and what it is like a ball of energy that means sad is bad. And so when sad is coming up, what we have to do, there's several ways that we deal with this. So we either push it back down and put it down deeper, deeper, deeper into this ball of energy that it's not coming up because it's bad, or it's like a huge outward expression of sadness, which it's, is very common for children, is like this explosion of emotion and crying, and it could appear as like anger or a tantrum or whatever, but underneath it's real deep sadness. And then the other way is just being. Sadness is here. I don't have to tell a story. I don't have to push it down because sad is bad. I don't have to express it out with tears, although that can happen naturally as well. It's just being with it. And not with it like you're you want a roommate, just being with, the same way we're just with everything else that is happening, except the tree is just treeing, the house is housing, the wind is winding. It's only when there's a feeling of sadness, or insert any other emotion feeling, then we say, I am sad. And when we use the word I am, we're using the name of God. When I say I am sad, meaning I own sadness, I am sadness, rather than sadness is here, I get to feel it, I get to watch it, and sadness is on its way. I don't own it, I don't reject it, don't push it away, don't bury it. It's just sadness is there and it's moving through, it's passing. And if we can, and we can, allow that to happen, it just passes through. Now, what happens sometimes, again, yesterday was quite intense. Usually you got layers. You think if you've lived 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80 years in this, 90 years in this life, and whatever many years in other parallel realities that we call past lives, and parallel realities that we don't talk about called future lives, that are all existing now, we have all of, especially on Earth, we have all of these layers of suppressed emotion or outwardly expressed emotion that can become destructive or creative. And you think of all that build-up of outward expression or suppression, and if we can just, and we can, just be. In the same way, this is another Michael Singer. I haven't listened to him or read him for a long time, but his wisdom is appearing now. He gives an example of this. When you're driving along the road, anyone who drives, you don't pay attention to the white lines, although if you're crossing, but you don't have memories. You don't remember every tree that you pass. You don't remember every building that you pass. You're just moving through life, and there's lots of things that appear, and they appear. You're aware of, you could be aware of them, you could be peripherally aware of them, but they just go past. You don't remember the tree that you passed yesterday unless there's something specific about it. But put your ex-girlfriend's car, and she sat sat with a new man. Put a flag that represents something that really touches you or triggers you. Put a the very topical one is good for today. Put something about artificial intelligence. I had an experience in Belfast Airport last year. Put a robot serving your food instead of a human. Like literally, they have this now. Like it's not a human brings you the food, so it's a robot. So if you have strong things about that, then all you can see is the thing that triggers the emotion. The flag, the ex-girlfriend, the ex-boyfriend, the partner, the hot button topic. Then all you can see is that, and everything else gets deleted. So whenever we are able, and it's a challenge, our gift as humans is the ability to be this energy in motion and experience emotion and feeling and express that in creativity and express that in words and art and in just life being. And the creative wave is a movement. It's not something that we get to put in our pocket. Creativity is not something you get and that you own. Creativity is a wave that moves through us, and the real masters are the ones that allow that wave to move them spontaneously through word, through music, through art, through whatever sort of form of creativity. But whenever this is old energy, what we would say, like that I was experiencing yesterday, like this darkness, this heaviness, this, I don't know if there was grief. I really need to go to the journal because I can't remember, but I remember sadness. I remember, yes, definitely, I do now. I remember this like kind of judgment, feeling of judgment, wanting to blame something or someone, wanting to point to something. That came up momentarily, a little bit longer than momentarily, a few moments, like wanting to find a something to point to, a story to stick, a story to point toward as to why there would be a feeling of sadness or whatever it was. But as I've practiced over the years and nowhere near mastered it yet, but yesterday it worked fairly well whenever I just got completely silent and just allowed the waves to come up. So sadness come up, and then the sadness, yeah, I can literally feel it rise up and leave the body. And I work with other people, I have for many years, facilitating others to move through this. Done it in groups, do it in one-on-one, have done. But then usually there is layers to it. So sadness will come up, then maybe anger and rage will come up, and judgment or blame, whatever it is, and it can come up in waves. And so if, as long as we don't put the story on it so that it sticks, and we just be with it, like we're driving along the road and the tree is treeing, the white line is, you don't remember the white lines, you don't remember the things. And so that's the easy part, but it's like we're just in our body, the car of our body, and our heart's beating. We're not paying attention to it normally. Our breath's breathing. We're not normally paying attention to it. You're not normally paying attention to what's happening in your big toe on your left foot until I've brought attention to it now, and there it will. And then everything is like, okay, there's the big toe. But what happens is with feeling and emotion, so sadness comes up, then what's okay. Now it pulls all of our attention. So if we can notice that natural tendency to go to it, and if your tendency is to suppress, you might close down. If your tendency is to express, you might just express it outwards. This is something else, Michael Singer. Thank you, brother. I don't know why you're here so much. Like, it's years, definitely more than a year since I've interacted or seen anything of him, but his wisdom is incredible. I believe he is definitely one of the true living masters on the planet at this time. We talk about in the spiritual, especially because the more popular tendency would be to repress emotion, especially in men, but in most humans, I think it would be safe to say that there'd be more people that repress or hold in their emotion than there are who express outwardly. But he talks about this as well, because there's the more of a tendency to repress, then when we get into kind of spiritual or any sort of self-development work, it's always about express your emotions, be open with your emotions. And he talks about this as like, whether you suppress it or express it, you're still doing something with that energy because it's not comfortable, because you can't deal with it. You can't just be with sadness coming up. You can't just be with anger coming up, because you have to express it. So he talks about it. I think it's a very important point. Expressing all of your emotions all of the time, like just a energetic vomit is not actually, it's, it can seem more aligned or healthy or spiritual to express your emotions freely rather than suppress them. But in actuality, like you said, in actuality, that's not what releases whatever was the actual need to express the emotion in the first place. The core of the energy that's moving through you, if it's got that like core, that samskara, that block, and either it goes deeply in because it's repressed, or it explodes because it's needs to be expressed, it's still not dealing with the core. And the core is, we are just here watching all of this going along, and we watch everything, we don't take it in, but give the human an emotion, give them a feeling, give them some anger, give them some judgment, give them some blame, give them some grief, and that's all we can experience. But the path of this freedom path is to be able to be just there when anger arises. Now, this is a real challenge, but it's possible. Everybody has, at some stage, just been with emotion. Might have been only for a fraction of a second, and you didn't have to repress it, and you didn't have to express it. You were just with it, and what happens? It just passes through. It moves through with a wave. We don't have to touch it. And it doesn't even have to wave to you like this. It's just a wave of energy that moves through, and we get to watch it. We get to see. We get to experience it. We get to notice. Oh, look at that. Look at that feeling. Oh, look at that. Feel that. Feel my stomach tightening up. Oh, feel the jaw clenching a little bit. Okay, just watching that. Oh, notice that. Notice how I'm holding tension in my shoulders that I don't even know. I do a lot, but today I'm not. And we just notice it. We don't stick it with a story. We don't repress it because we're an Irish Catholic or whatever. And you don't outwardly express it like some other like cultures have this just like very expressive and they just explode. Some of the Latin cultures, I think Jewish culture would be, they're very emotional and very expressive. Italian culture, they'll like boo, like it's just out there. And like maybe Irish culture where I come from is more repressive until they uh, dull themselves with the demon drink, and then that allows their explosion, that allows them to open up. But we digress. So the real key to this, I feel, again, I'm a working expression of this, a work in progress, a masterpiece in the making, like we all are, is just to be with it. Don't stick with the story. Don't repress it. Don't express it. You don't have to express it. And so on that other side is like, again, if you've come from a repressive, it seems so much better to express it. But what if you just feel anger and rage and you just let it be there? You don't have to do anything with it. You don't have to express it. You don't have to punch a pillow. You don't have to blame. Just be with it. Notice anger's here. Notice burning. Notice the burning. And if we allow it, what you'll find is it rises up and leaves your body, leaves your being, leaves your energetic, say, body. It's experienced in the body, but it's really an energetic thing. And it can be experienced as moving through the body. And it's very powerful. I've talked about this many times before. This is not a goal. This is not something to aim for. But I have experienced at times when this is like, it doesn't matter if it's quote positive emotion or quote negative emotion. I've experienced just being with this and this energy moves through, and then you're just left in this kind of ecstatic, blissful state. It's quite amazing. Again, it's not linked with positive or negative emotions. It could be anger moves through you, or rage moves through you. Don't touch it. Don't stick it with the story. Don't repress it. Don't express it. And you're left in a state of like ecstasy. Again, it's not always like that. That's not a goal. It's not something to aim for, but it is an experience that I've had sometimes. Mostly it's just a feeling of peace, of emptiness, of stillness. Not an emptiness in a lonely way, an emptiness just like equilibrium. And I woke up today like really fresh. Everything was fine, but when I was going to sleep, I was still allowing this energy to move. And sometimes I used to go through a period as well where I'd want to, especially if it was with my wife, is like I would want to talk the thing out and I want to go through it. And sometimes that's a good idea, but sometimes the energy is there's just so many layers that talking about it just doesn't do anything. I mean, a lot of times it does. Sometimes, again, if you're more repressed and you haven't talked about emotions, is very beneficial at times, but sometimes the energy just needs to be moved without any story, without any talking. And sometimes that just means going to sleep. And interestingly now, as I talk about this, I remember there was a moment yesterday where I felt like I rarely do this. It's only when there's very like strong energies that I would like sleep or have a nap during the day, because I don't generally feel good after I wake. Like I feel good falling asleep, but I don't feel great when I like waking up early in the morning, 4 or 5 in the morning, and going to sleep and basically dying around 9 o'clock. Having like a 20-minute sleep or half-hour sleep during the day, I usually wake up feeling worse. But yesterday, there was kind of energetically the idea, go take a sleep, and I didn't do it. So I'm wondering, was that my kind of way of holding the energy? I'm just wondering as I speak it out loud. And was that then the build-up that maybe would have been moved through in that sleep? Who knows? I don't know. But the most important point is, I feel, is that if we are just an empty, open vessel that doesn't stick with the story, that doesn't repress and doesn't express whatever is moving through us, it will move through us and it will make its come to pass. It will again, it's not expressed, it's just moving through. It's just the wave moving through. And then we don't create further blockages by repressing, expressing, or telling a story about it. We just allow ourselves to be the vessel, the empty vessel. And again, this is easily talked about, very challenging for a human to, I don't even want to say practice this or do this, because it's not a practice and it's not a doing. It's the opposite, if there even was it's the opposite that doesn't have a definition. You're not doing something when you do this. You're not even not doing something. It's like you just are. It's how we always are. It's just how we are with the things that pass us when we're driving on the road, using Michael Singer's. This is just, some things just appear and we don't hold on to it. It's like the story of the two monks. So there's two ascetic Buddhist monks walking along the road, and these monks had taken a vow of celibacy. And they'd taken a vow of celibacy, and the two monks were going for a walk one day, and they were going to another monastery that was a bit away from where they're normally secluded, and they were kept away from the outside world, and they were celibate. And it was forbidden for them to talk to, especially women, from outside the monastery. But this day they're walking along the road and they come to a river and they have to cross the river to get to the other monastery. And they find a young woman at the river, and the water is raging. The water is, there's quite a strong current. And the woman asks the older monk, so it's older monk and a younger monk, and she asks the older monk if he could help her across the river. And so the young monk looks at the old monk and knows that they've taken the vow of celibacy. They're not supposed to talk to a woman, never mind touch another woman. And without question, the older monk helps the woman across the river and takes her across. And so the younger monk gets into the river and goes across, and he's silent, and inside him some of this burning emotion is arising in him. And they walk along. So the older monk helped the woman, and the two monks walk along. The woman's moved along and they're walking along, and so it's burning inside the younger monk, and he eventually can't hold it in any longer, and he says, They'd walked along the river, and he says to the older monk, why did you speak to that woman? We're forbidden. How can you break your vows and, touch that woman and help her across the river? And the old monk turns in a knowing fashion and turns to the younger monk and says, I left that woman at the edge of the river. You're still carrying her. How many times are we carrying things from the past that are not ours to carry, that are stories that we're telling in our head, that are these combinations of energies that we've just picked up and held or repressed or stuck to ourselves like a post-it note with the story and an identity? How can we just be with whatever is coming without having to do anything with it, repress, express, and just be like everything else in life that is passing? This too shall pass. This has been the Morning Soul Flow. I don't know what we'll call it, but we'll find out, whatever it's going to be called. If you are interested in a couple of things, we've got a couple of things coming up. So today we're recording this on Thursday. I can't remember the date, the 20-something of May. But Thursday and Friday of this week, so today and tomorrow, we have 2 dialogues where we've got a panel together of people who are going to share a wide view on artificial intelligence, AI. So we have a group on Thursday, a group on Friday. If you're interested in that, we will be live streaming at 3:33 UK time, which is 10:33 Eastern time, and I think 8:33 Pacific time. You can watch that live. You can watch on this channel, either on the YouTube or Facebook. We've got an amazing panel with, again, diverging views, not just everybody agreeing with each other. And then on Sunday of this week as well, very special call where we are going to launch the first of our Heart Leader Village calls. So we're creating, and have been guided to create for a long time, this community with a virtual village, so the Heart Leader Village, where we will combine the virtual experience of getting together with our global family on Zoom, but combining that with actual physical community. So this Sunday, for the first call, we're going to be with our dear brother Muzz Murray, who is 85 years young, who has lived more experience in this lifetime than I believe you could in 100 lifetimes. He's lived more lives in one life than I have, and I don't know. He's like this. He's known as the Indiana Jones of yoga, and it would take me a whole nother video just to explain all of the things. He's a mantra master. He's had so many life experiences and adventures from being in India, and also like this duality and polarity of experiencing like really crazy experiences, human experiences, and very deep mystical wisdom. So we will be at home with Muzz Murray for our first. So we're going to his house, and this Heart Leader Village is very much around a literal village, bringing back this village feel. So we have the elders who get in this modern society are forgotten about, and once they're supposedly past their time of creating, that they're forgotten about and their value gets less. And in indigenous societies, the elders become more valuable to society as they become older. And this inversion that we've got in this capitalist or Western society, or even others, is like once you're past your earning, you get less and less valuable. So we're going to have the elders, mothers, fathers, leaders, children, youths. We're going to call together a virtual village, but make it literal as well. So we're going to have, Muzz is our honorary first elder as part of this, and we're going to be in his home, and it's going to be a family chat. And so I'm going to be representing the father, Elise is going to be representing the mother, Angelo, our son, is going to be representing the child, and we have a youth, a dear brother, Kyle, who if you haven't seen the interview last week, He's a 32-year-old. He's going to be representing the youth. And our intention is that we're going to continue this with the virtual meeting the physical and not just one or the other. So that's going to be the Heart Leader Village. It's going to be weekly calls on Zoom. If you're interested in that, go to heartleader.love and put your name and details in there, and we'll send you the link on that, because that'll be on Zoom, because we really want to be able to see the faces and create the community around that. And then the Heart Leader movement as a whole is a lifelong mission, and I am on a life mission to ignite, unite, and highlight 144,000 heart leaders living and giving their unique genius in the world, and to impact and inspire the next 7 generations on Earth, leaving a legacy of love. Until next time, from my heart to yours, the divine in me sees, loves, and honors the divine in you. Namaste. We are